All right, hello friends. I've just come back from a trip and I thought it might be a great opportunity to give a tour of this edible forest garden that I have designed and installed about 8 years ago. We're here in Greenville, Pennsylvania, USDA hardiness zone 5B. Some say it's 6A now with things getting warmer. So it's pretty cold. We have a super real clay subsoil. When I started this is just lawn, all lawn and real wet. It kind of collects water from other yards because of the topography. I'll just give you a nice quick tour. In this little bed here, we've got a bunch of this American senna that's a great nitrogen fixer. We have milkweed. Our blueberries are yielding great. There's wild bergamot that's not yet in flower. We have some comfrey, great dynamic accumulator. This serviceberry is doing excellent. I love this thing. It's a bird paradise and a people paradise too. It's yielding so heavily. Over here we've got some more comfrey. It's a great polyculture plant here, makes great mulch and great medicine. This is an American hazelnut. This is a hybrid hazelnut with a mix of European and American genes, so it will yield bigger nuts with thinner shells that's still filbert blight resistant. So let's walk through here. Sprinkled around, when I designed this, I tried to include as much perennial nitrogen fixing things as possible. There's American licorice in here as well. Here's some mountain mint. All right. So walking by here, I have nice tag alder, wet-loving nitrogen fixer, native to the area. We have some river oats. I've never actually harvested the oats, but they do make some oaty oats. A nice little raspberry patch. More raspberries. In this shady section, they haven't come in yet, but we have cardinal flower. There's some other native wildflowers. Something with any garden design is that as it grows, the process is dynamic. What is shaded, what's full sun, what's part sun. Plants grow. When this was first established, it was more like a meadow, and as it grows, you can see, this whole understory here is under fairly deep shade, and unless I choose to get rid of that elderberry or something like that, the things that are gonna fill up the space as time goes on will need to be real shade resistant. So that's a decision haven't yet made yet. Here's a pawpaw. It yields the largest fruit in North America. We have some native irises here, a little blackberry patch, totally volunteer. I didn't plant any blackberries around here. And you'll notice there's an awful lot of black walnut, none of which I planted. These are all planted by squirrels, and they will serve as fence posts. We have a little fencing around here to keep some stuff up, or just like a little wild aesthetic on the garden. Every forest garden should have a nice wood pile. Tons of insects love to live in there. Part of our ecological balance around here is making sure we have homes for all kinds of insects, so we don't really have much problems as far as one insect causing a big issue. Eating stuff, everything eats everything, and yeah, we just try to keep a home for our predators and stuff. So there's black walnuts they come and they go. We'll chop them down when they get big enough. Here's an elderberry that's doing great. Compost pile, we've just used some, and that is kind of just a rolling cold system. It's simple. Don't really need to manage it too much. All right, we are here back in the forest garden. So I had just mentioned this is an elderberry. This is a bunch of mock strawberry. We have a gazillion of these little berries. They're sprinkled everywhere. I didn't plant those. They just made a home and liked it. We'll take a tour around here. We have a bunch of nettle, stinging nettle. Amazing, nutritious plant that I love to keep in the garden. It's so low maintenance. It's so good for you. So good for the soil. Another alder here. Again, that's nitrogen fixing and in the canopy. A super healthy elderberry over here. We have a little tunnel to walk through, kind of magical. As we move along here, we have some wildflowers and we have some edible plants. This is a golden raspberry. It will yield in the fall. More nettle, tons of nettle. Here's the hazelnuts we just saw in the other video, in the last video. More nettle. I love keeping nettle as a nice polyculture. It's a good cover on the soil. Looking up here, we have a beautiful persimmon tree. When I first designed the garden, I knew that the persimmon was going to be the canopy eventually. And this is actually its first year. I don't know if you can see it or not. It is covered in flowers. And that will be its first year fruiting. The tree is 8 years old. It's had a tough life. It got chopped down, eaten clear to the ground a couple times when it was young. But here it is, it's flourishing. Tons of hazelnuts gonna happen this year. Beautiful. And coming around, we'll burn that when it comes time. We have a black currant. I think that's a titania black currant that's does well. This elderberry is getting huge. And again, you can kind of see things now, you know, back when I was designing this, a mistake that I think many beginners might make is you plant things close, because when you're first starting out, you want as many plants as you possibly could have, but they get big. So as it grows and changes, right, we have to make choices, you know, coppice things to keep them short, to keep space for things that need full sun, like our fruiting plants, or move the fruiting plants, or, you know, whatever. It all changes and grows, and that's part of the beauty of this way of gardening. I never water this. I put in maybe 40 hours of work or so a year, keeping the paths clear, some weeding. At this point, it's more steering the direction of succession, what you want to be, how tall, you know, but it's nice and established. And, you know, I've been gone for months. Last year I was gone for most of the year, and it's up for it. All right, we'll see you in the next video around front. All right, we're back. This is just a whole, this is like a multi-purpose, it's a place to experiment for me. It's a kind of a gene storage. If I have plants that I really want around but I don't have space, or I think they might have a place later, I'll just keep them around here, or our little kind of competition workshop to see how different plants play together before I put them in there. We have all kinds of good stuff though. This is another volunteer black walnut that's very happy. An elderberry, more senna. It's great to keep around. You know, again, fixes nitrogen. It's medicine, and just to keep seeds around. There's New England aster, beautiful native wildflower. There's raspberries, a bunch of jewelweed, more New England aster just sprinkled around everywhere, more elderberry. We have several different types of elderberry. Most of it is from old orchards in the area. You'll have to excuse the noise. We're just here in a residential neighborhood. This is a very small plot. The back yard is maybe 40 by 60 feet. And all right, we're back. We made a little pause for our, somebody else was using a leaf blower, but we're right in the middle of town. So you can do this sort of thing anywhere. Again, these are elderberries just from an old orchard on a farm a few miles away. There's a persimmon there, a spice bush here, which is great edible tea. Another persimmon. I planted several so they pollinate each other. This is a little grove of American plum. A volunteer sassafras, which has edible. I guess a lot of it's edible, but you can make tea out of its leaves or out of its roots. Over here, the little meadow section, we have echinacea, foxglove beard tongue, which is a great, beautiful little flower. All these are native. There's wild bergamot in here. Now, in just a few weeks, you can see a lot of these flowers just starting to form. In a few weeks, this will be just covered in color. There's mint in here. There's one of my favorite nitrogen fixing perennial plants, blue wild indigo. You can see it's already mostly flowered and has a few pea pods left. This is a mulberry, a red-white hybrid, and I've just recently planted another one right there, squished it in so that there's something to cross-pollinate. As little polycultures on the bottom, so that I don't need to keep importing mulch. There is plenty of comfrey around both of these, the base of both of these, and some neat, that looks like cup plant, something like that. Anyway, that's the scene. At this point in the garden's life, it's fairly low maintenance. This is nearly all, this is probably 95% native plants, so we're supporting a lot of tiers of ecosystem, not just pollination, but providing support, larval hosts, and habitat that our insects have evolved with over hundreds of thousands of years. So it's like a habitat for people, full of food and medicine, and construction materials, and a habitat for the rest of life. I hope you've enjoyed this. And we'll see you next time. Feel free to ask me questions in the comments there. All right, take care.